Today we're going to take a look at some new 2-card combos brought to us by Wilds of Eldraine. We're looking at specifically 2-card combos because once you get into 3 cards plus, it's not really that special anymore. There's millions of 3-card combos. But there are some cool new 2-card combos we're going to take a look at today. Starting with this first one. Experimental Confectioner plus Peregrin Took. So we have Experimental Confectioner out of Wilds of Eldraine. It's a 3-mana 2/3 human peasant. It says when it enters the battlefield, you make a food token. Also though, when you sacrifice a food, you make a 1/1 rat. This combos with Peregrin Took, because Peregrin Took says, if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus an additional food token are created instead. Sacrifice 3 foods, draw a card. Let's go over the combo now. In order for this to work, you'll need to start off with a food that you've gotten from anywhere. There are many cards that make foods, but you need 1 additional food token. So say you have Peregrin Took in play, you have a food, play Experimental Confectioner, enters the battlefield and makes a food token. However, Peregrin Took says it makes that many tokens plus an additional food. So you make another food token. Now you have 3 food tokens. You can use the ability of Peregrin Took, sacrifice 3 foods, draw a card. So you sacrifice your foods and draw a card. When you sacrifice those foods, it triggers Experimental Confectioner. It says, when you sacrifice a food, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. So since you sacked 3 foods, you get 3 rats. But then Peregrin Took says, when you make a token, you make that token plus a food. So you get your rats plus 3 foods. I think you can see where we're going with this now. So you can sack your foods, draw a card, make 3 rats. Those rats come into play and make 3 more foods. You can just rinse and repeat that. So what this combo gives you is infinite card draw as well as infinite sacrificing food tokens. It gives you almost infinite creature tokens and enter the battlefield because eventually you're going to run out of cards, right? But for being just with 2 cards plus an additional food, I guess, this is a pretty powerful combo that you can start off with just 2 3-mana cards in just 2 colors. So now let's move on to the next combo. This combo is Warehouse Tabby plus Screams from Within. So for this one, Warehouse Tabby, it's a 1/1 for 1. It says whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 1/1 black rat creature token with this creature can't block. You can also give this Death Touch, but that's not relevant to the combo. This combos with Screams from Within, an old card, 1 black, so 3 mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets -1/-1. Whenever enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, return Screams from Within from your graveyard to play. So with your Warehouse Tabby in play, you need another creature to be in play which will die when you put Screams from Within on it. This could be either your creature or your opponent's creature, because you just need this to go to the graveyard. So if your opponent has something with 1 toughness, that'll work perfectly. If they don't, you could have, a rat token or anything with 1 toughness and get the combo going that way as well. So say for example you got a rat in play, you put your Screams from Within on it, gives it -1/-1, which means it dies because it only has 1 toughness. So that dies, this goes to the graveyard. Warehouse Tabby says whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard, you make a rat. So you get your rat, but then this says when enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, return this from your graveyard to play. So you just bring this back from your graveyard, goes on the rat, kills it. You can do that infinitely. So this combo isn't really netting you cards or making your opponent lose life or anything like that, but it is useful because it gives you infinite death triggers as well as enter the battlefield for enchantments or creatures and things like that. This can be very useful. You just pair it with something like Blood Artist and you can win that way. Another alternate version of this combo would be to replace Warehouse Tabby with this card instead, Knight of Doves. It does the same thing as Warehouse Tabby, except instead of making a rat, it makes a 1/1 bird. So you would just swap that card out for Knight of Doves instead, and now instead of making rats, it does the exact same thing, but you make birds. Let's go on to the next combo now. This combo is Agatha of the Vile Cauldron plus Spawnsire of Ulamog. So Agatha costs a red and a green, it's a 1/1. It says, activated abilities of creature you control cost X less to activate, where X is Agatha's power. This effect can't reduce the mana and the cost to less than 1. It also has this other ability which isn't really relevant to comboing off, but it can end the game once you have comboed off. You can pay 6, other creatures you control get +1/+1, gain trample and haste to end a turn. So this combos with Spawnsire of Ulamog. Spawnsire has this ability, you can pay 4 and put 2/0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens into play. That's this. They can sacrifice to add a colorless. So if you have these two cards in play, immediately Agatha's ability will make this activated ability of Spawnsire cost 3. So you need to discount that to at least 2 in order to combo off. So Agatha will need to have 2 power. You can buff it in many different ways. For example, just have a +1/+1 counter on it. So if Agatha's power is 2, that means you can use this ability infinitely to get infinite enter and leave the battlefield triggers as well as death triggers, because you could pay 2, make 2 Eldrazi spawns, sacrifice these to add 2 colorless, and then just do the ability again. However, if Agatha has 3 power, then you can start netting mana with this, because this would only cost 1, so you can pay 1, make 2 Eldrazi's, sacrifice them, get 2 mana. So at that point, you'll have infinite colorless mana, as well as be able to get infinite Eldrazi's, and at that point you can probably use your resources to win the game. Let's go on to the next combo now. This combo is Rowan, Scion of War, plus Blood Celebrant. This one's pretty simple. So Rowan says, tap spells you cast this turn that are black and or red cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you lost this turn, activate only as a sorcery. So you can combo that with Blood Celebrant, just a 1/1 for 1. However, it says black, pay 1 life. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So basically with this, you can use these two abilities to pair together to discount your black or red spells down to nothing or almost nothing, assuming you have the life to pay for it. So if you've got Rowan in play, you can go Blood Celebrant, pay a black, pay a life, add 1 color, maybe you just add another black. You've paid 1 life though. You could just do it again. Now you've paid 2 life. So then say you tap your Rowan, spells you cast this turn that are black or red cost X less to cast. You've paid 2 life, so now you could play something like this experimental Confectioner for just 1 mana. Or say you've got something bigger, like maybe this Ashiok. In that case, before you tap your Rowan, just do the ability once more. That'll discount it by 3. Now you can play Ashiok for 2. You can't make this actually free because this only discounts it by X, being the generic cost, so you do still have to pay the colored mana cost, but fortunately Blood Celebrant can filter your black mana into any color. So with these 2 cards, you can be playing some giant spells very early. Now let's go on to the next combo. This next one is Ashiok, Wicked Manipulator, plus really anything that lets you pay life repeatedly. So say for example Necropotence, or Doom Whisperer, or Wall of Blood, or Blood Celebrant once again. Because Ashiok, what it says here is if you would pay life while your library has at least that many cards in it, exile that many cards from the top of your library instead. So say you have your, I don't know, Wall of Blood, pay a life, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. With these 2 cards in play, you can just do this and exile your entire library. That's all it does, but that's quite powerful because at that point you could play, say, a Thassa's Oracle or something like that and just win that way. So something that lets you basically deck yourself at will is quite powerful, especially when it's on just 2 cards here. So there you have it. There are 5 new 2-card combos from Wilds of Eldraine. There are probably other ones that exist as well. I'm not covering every combo here, but I thought it would be fun to take a look at these ones today. If you have any other particular favorite combos from Wilds of Eldraine, feel free to leave those in the comments below. Or if I've made a mistake in how any of these work, let me know that as well. But otherwise though, if you're still watching, thanks for watching. It'd be cool if you can like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. I'd encourage everyone to come join my Discord server. You can find a link to that in the video description below. And also, if you'd like to purchase any Magic cards, you can get those by going to face2facegames.com. They're the largest Magic store in Canada. They're also a sponsor of the channel, and if you use code 8thplaceDave at the checkout, you can save 5% on your order. I'd also like to thank all the patrons that support me on Patreon. But otherwise though, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.